Supplementary and subordinate delegated legislation. It refers to those cases where Parliament or the legislature lays down the general principles, policies, and broad framework of a law, while the responsibility for completing the details is entrusted to the executive or other subordinate authorities. The legislature determines what is to be achieved, while the executive is authorized to determine how it is to be implemented within the limits prescribed by the Parent Act. Nature of supplementary delegated legislation. Under this type of delegated legislation, the legislature itself determines the general principles and essential measures governing the subject matter. The executive does not normally determine the basic policy of the law. Instead, it fills in the details, procedures, and technical requirements necessary for the effective implementation of the legislative policy. Power to make rules and regulations. Parliament frequently provides in an act that the government or a specified administrative authority may make rules, regulations, orders, or bylaws for carrying out the purposes of the act. These rules and regulations supplement the provisions of the parent legislation and make the law practically workable. Importance of supplementary delegated legislation. Parliament cannot practically include every technical and procedural detail in an act. Delegating the power to make detailed rules enables the executive to deal with matters requiring technical knowledge, flexibility, and administrative expertise. Guidance for citizens. The rules and regulations made under delegated authority are also important for citizens because they explain how the law is to be followed in practice. They enable individuals, businesses, and organizations to understand their legal obligations and regulate their conduct accordingly. Role of executive. The executive's role is mainly to fill in the details left open by the legislature. It must exercise this power within the limits and general principles established by the Parent Act. The executive cannot use delegated authority to contradict or go beyond the policy and provisions of the enabling legislation. Importance in India. A large number of acts have been passed in India which follow this method of delegation. Such acts generally authorize the government or relevant administrative authorities to make rules and regulations on specified subjects. These rules provide the detailed mechanism necessary for implementing the provisions of the Act. Conclusion. Supplementary and subordinate delegated legislation is an important form of delegated legislation in which the legislature lays down the broad principles and policies, while the executive fills in the necessary details through rules and regulations. It makes legislation more practical, flexible, and effective while allowing citizens to understand the specific requirements governing their conduct.